Witajcie kochani, jest godzina 11, dlatego też zabieramy Was w kolejną wirtualną podróż. Mieliśmy troszeczkę przerwy w naszych spotkaniach, przesunęliśmy zresztą to obecne teraz na dzień dzisiejszy, żeby Wam więcej rzeczy pokazać, ponieważ jest lepsza pogoda niż jaka miała być w piątek. Tradycyjnie ci, co już się podłączyli, proszę dajcie znać w komentarzu, że nas widzicie i mnie słyszycie i wtedy będziemy mogli zaczynać. Widzę, że jest już parę osób, też angielskojęzycznych, więc może powiem, że please give us the sign in comment that everything is okay with the view and with the voice. So please text us short comment it is okay or not and then we'll start. Okay. Tym razem widzę, że szybko poszło. Bardzo Ci dziękuję, Marta, za potwierdzenie, że widać i słychać. Czyli coś już się poprawiło, widzę, w technikaliach Facebooka albo tej aplikacji. Okej, super, skoro nas widzicie i słyszycie, w takim razie zaczynamy. Tak jak wspomniałam na początku, zabieramy Was w kolejną wirtualną podróż i tym razem będzie to Holandia, a w zasadzie to Królestwo Niderlandów, ponieważ od niedawno zmienili nazwę, ale do tego tematu jeszcze wrócimy. Jak widzicie, tutaj w tle już jest nasz gość, a ja krótko powiem, co to są wirtualne podróże. Wirtualne podróże są to nasze spotkania w formule online, do których zapraszamy gości z całego świata. Nasi goście opowiadają o danym kierunku i jednocześnie kawałek tego świata Wam pokazują. Z uwagi na to, że teraz do niektórych kierunków ciężko jest nam dotrzeć, z uwagi na sytuację, która panuje jakby na świecie, dlatego też pomysł, żeby po prostu kawałek świata Wam pokazać wirtualnie. Holandia jest oczywiście otwarta i nawet jeszcze w te wakacje, czy we wrześniu, czy w październiku możecie się tam udać, także być może to Was zachęci do wyboru tego kierunku. Ja nazywam się Elwira Urbańczyk i reprezentuję firmę Make Break, w której przygotowujemy wyjazdy szyte na miarę, zarówno dla klientów indywidualnych, jak i klientów biznesowych. Przygotowujemy także różnego rodzaju konferencje i eventy, również w formule online. A teraz chciałabym Wam serdecznie przedstawić mojego dzisiejszego gościa, którego już tu widzicie na ekranie. Hello Gupi, how are you?
Hi, very good morning from Amsterdam, Elvira. I'm really good. How about you?
Yes, I'm fine. Very good. Today we don't have a very good weather here. I think that you have better, but we are good.
Well, Netherlands had a lovely summer. I think we had really nice warm days. Now it's cooled down quite a bit. Good thing is now it's dry. I think I prefer this weather, to be honest. It's 20 degrees and it's dry. I think that's the best deal you can get. So I'm quite happy with the weather today.
Yeah, please introduce yourself. Please say something about you, general, because we have some audience already on our live streaming.
Fantastic. Well, my name is Gopinath. Although I'm not from Netherlands, I call Netherlands my home the last few years. And I'm basically from India. I have a travel company where we specialize in different countries. Also, we work with different partners promoting Netherlands. And today I have a really fun session. We're going to do two things. One is I'm going to show you guys around what I think is one of the most beautiful and charming cities in Europe, Amsterdam. And I'll show you guys what Amsterdam is known for, as you might imagine, certain things like canals and boat and bridges and trams. So I'll show you guys around the beautiful city. And also, I want to talk to the viewers about Netherlands, because when most people think of visiting Netherlands, they only think of Amsterdam. I think that's quite unfortunate. When you visit Netherlands, you should make it a point to visit the country and not just the city. So I will also take you through some details about why this country is very special and why Amsterdam is even more special for the visitors to visit.
That's absolutely true what you said, because a lot of people think that, okay, Netherlands, so Amsterdam, maybe Rotterdam, but that's all. But right. I know that in the Netherlands, there are a lot of landscape, a lot of natural things that is worth to visit. So I remember one of my friends spent like almost 2 weeks in Netherlands, and they travel around the country, and I saw that it's a lot of nature that is worth to see there. So not only cities. Cities like a break stop or like weekend, but there is a lot of nature.
No, absolutely. In fact, it's interesting you mentioned it. The reason why the country is called Netherlands or Nederland in Dutch is it means lowlands, right? Because the country is completely flat. So, unlike Switzerland or even Italy, there are absolutely no mountains. That makes the landscape of Netherlands extremely unique and interesting. And also several reasons, like for example, Netherlands also reclaimed a lot of land from the sea, and which became very fertile. So they started growing a lot of things. For example, that's why when you think of Netherlands, you think of tulips, because tulips are actually grown in these very mineral rich fields. And combine that with a flat surface, you have, like you have in the background, beautiful, charming landscape. Now, in fact, more than natural beauty, the other reason why I really wanted to come to the session is also to give a context about this country. Now, as you most of you know, it's actually in Western Europe, bordering Germany and Belgium in south and across North Sea, England. Now, what most people don't realize when they think about Netherlands, it's a size. Netherlands is a very tiny country. Now, just to give you a comparison, I know you did a session on Sri Lanka, right? And
Yep.
Netherlands is even smaller than Sri Lanka. It's in fact two-thirds the size of Sri Lanka. And if I'm not wrong, it's probably one-eighth the size of Poland. So it's a very small country. However, although it is small, if you look back at the history, when you read about Netherlands, you actually think that this country has influenced a lot of things globally. You can never underestimate. That's what makes Netherlands very interesting. Now, to give you a bit more richer context, I want you to go back a few centuries in the past, a bit of a history lesson around the end of 15th century. Back then, the most of the population in the world think the world consists of only three continents, right? Asia,
Mm-hmm.
Europe, and Africa. We did not know the existence of the Americas or Australia or New Zealand, right?
Yep.
However, everything changed when Christopher Columbus, end of 15th century, he landed in America. As you know, Christopher Columbus is an Italian who was sponsored by the Spanish royal family to take this expedition to explore sea route. To go to the Indies, which is the Asian countries. He ended up in America, and the rest is history, right? And as you know, the handful of countries, Portugal, Spain to start with, and we know also about Portugal, Vasco da Gama, he found sea route to India. So they were a bit ahead in exploration. And back then, Netherlands was under the rule of Spain, so they could not do much. But that changed in the 16th century when Netherlands fought for freedom after what they call as the 80-year-old war. The Netherlands won the war, they defeated Spain, and they also joined along with England and France also into the age of discovery. Now, these five countries has influenced the world so much, which led to globalization, and Netherlands has a very significant part in this. Now, how? For example, the Netherlands, they started exploring Americas, for example, Manhattan. In fact, we call it, what we call New York used to be called New Amsterdam, because the Dutch were the first people who actually landed there. The place called Haarlem was also named after a Dutch city of Haarlem. The Brooklyn, which is a part of New York, was named after a town which is Brooklyn in the Netherlands. So that's the kind of discovery that the Dutch people were doing, and not only the Americas, but also if you go towards the eastern part, as you might know, we met in fact in Cochin. If you remember, in Fort Kochi, there are a lot of Dutch history. We
Mm-hmm.
see a lot of Dutch warehouses and a lot of Dutch food. The Dutch also explored the east and west, and they did it very interesting way, because back then the Netherlands did not have a monarchy, wherein the Spain or Portugal was sponsored by the king. But the Dutch found a very ingenious method, which is extremely relevant even today. They founded what we call as the East Indies Company. Now, the East Indies companies was actually, if you look at all the companies now, it was basically, how do you call it, influenced by the East Indies Company. Back then, they had a corporate logo, and where they issued shares. It is, in fact, the first company to do so, because there was no one sponsoring the expedition. The merchants, they they said, okay, so we're going to explore, and whatever we're going to find, we're going to bring, and you'll get your money back with interest. So they collected money from the common man, and they even had the first stock exchange. In fact, the first stock exchange in the world, if I'm not wrong, is Amsterdam Stock Exchange. So the Dutch people are very known for such ingenious ideas. So with all the money collected, they set up this company which is called the East Indies Company, which in fact became very influential, and in fact was one of the richest companies in the world. And they went on exploring places. They had colonies. That's also one of the important history. If you look at Suriname in South America, or Indonesia, for example, which is called as Batavia State, it was all under the rule of Dutch. Even the Dutch ruled even some parts of India as well. For example, like Cochin, where we saw the influence. So that's another interesting history. Now, one other thing which the Dutch also was part of, and which they're not really proud of now, is obviously the slavery. And the Dutch were also like involved in the slave trade, unfortunately, for centuries. So in so many ways, this very small country, like I said, the tiny country in Western Europe, actually led to a lot of what we call as globalization today. And coming back to 20th century, even if you look at World War II, as you might know, Netherlands was under the Nazi occupation for many years. There were a lot of Jewish people who were there, who unfortunately was sent to different concentration camps, including the famous Anne Frank, which everyone is aware of. And then after World War II, Netherlands was one of the founding countries of the European Union. So today, that also is quite historic. So they use euros. It's a very proud member of European Union. So this kind of gives you some context about why this small country is very relevant. So anytime when somebody visits Amsterdam or Netherlands, I would really recommend to kind of keep these points in mind, which will make your trip a bit more interesting.
It's really interesting what you say. I didn't know about this so long story. So now I know why you moved there, because you want to create a new concept. This is why you changed the country to the country which have a lot of ideas and new concepts for the life and for the science things, etc.
Absolutely. In fact, the interesting thing is Amsterdam was the center of all this event. So what the Dutch calls the golden age, the 17th century, Amsterdam was like the happening place. And in fact, if I request the viewers to look at the Amsterdam map in the Google map, and if you kind of zoom in, you actually will see something very unique. You see a lot of like, what do you call it, stripes, right? Like you see on the zebra skin. Now, what are these stripes? These are basically the canals of Amsterdam. And these canals are actually man-made. Now, I'm going to obviously walk around and show you guys instead of just me talking. But just to give you an idea, the canals are actually man-made. And the reason why they did it is they built all these old houses. And even today, there are about 1,700 of these houses, which are 400 years old, still exist in Amsterdam city, which I'm going to show you guys around. So the merchants, they build the house near the canals, and they bring in all the stuff that they found out from colonies and different places from the sea with the boat in these canals to their homes. And that's why you see a lot of these old houses right next to the canals. And these are not just a few canals. There are over 100 canals in Amsterdam city. And just remember, Amsterdam is a very small city. The population is only about 700,000. That's nothing.
Oh.
But still, there is an extensive canal network, over 100 canals. There are over 1,000 bridges. So, and most of the buildings are like 400 years old, and they still are intact, very much used as apartment, hotel, or a lot of people still live there. So that's what makes Amsterdam an interesting place to visit.
For sure. And how looks generally living in Netherlands, in your opinion? Because you say that you lived there for a few years.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, how is the living? You are happy that you moved there, and what looks like the people? How are they? Say something about that.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Well, like I said, I was in Singapore before I moved. So obviously I grew up in a tropical country, India, and I lived in Singapore. So weather-wise, it's quite a bit of change. But I think for me, it's really exciting because as someone from Asia who's very familiar with the Asian culture, Europe is a complete contrast, right?
Yeah, it's
so
true.
it's completely like a different lifestyle, completely different way of living. So that's always interesting. So also what's nice about living in Amsterdam is, of course, you can also explore all the other European cities. It's much more accessible. So if I have to go to London or Berlin or even Poland, which I haven't yet managed to come, it's a matter of an hour or two. So that makes it very interesting for me.
Mm-hmm. And how are the people from Netherlands, in your opinion?
Well, well, my wife grew up here in Netherlands, so I can't really say anything bad. But yeah, absolutely. I think the Dutch are very down to earth, very straightforward, and very sweet people, very accommodating. They don't really judge by the way you look. As long as you speak Dutch and be friendly, they are also friendly. So to be honest, it's a very easy place to move in. They are not religious, so they don't really worry too much about your religious views, for example. So as long as you don't bother anyone, just be on your own, they just mind their own business, you mind your own business. So as simple as that. So that way it's very comfortable.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good for sure. That not other companies would like to look in your companies and give you some ideas, or it's like I think it's better competition between companies if the people are like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Mm. And what about the name of the country? Because before it was Holland, or it wasn't Holland, because we said like two different names of the country. Yeah, it's Holland and Netherlands. And I read that the name of the country officially was changed in this year in January. So why it was changed?
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of myth around the name. First, just to clarify, the country is called Netherlands. It was called Netherlands before. It is called Netherlands today. It'll be Netherlands in the future. So there's no Holland. There's only Netherlands. So let me be very clear about that. Now, the confusion is why also people call it Holland. Now, there are about 12 states, or what we call as province in Netherlands, and the two dominant ones are South Holland and North Holland. Now, most of the prominent cities, you think of Amsterdam, Rotterdam, the tulip fields, they are all located in either South or North Holland. That's the reason why people confuse Holland with Netherlands. Just imagine in the 17th century, right? This Dutchman is exploring somewhere and he is reaching Americas and he's meeting this British guy. So the guy just can't say, "Hey, where are you from?" He will say, "I'm from Brook in Waterland." He's like, "What?" You know, it's the Dutch is not a very easy language. They'll be like, "What are you talking about?" So to make simple, they always say, "I'm from Holland." It's very simple and it's not very complicated. So the other country, they started calling people from Netherlands as people from Holland, wherein they are actually referring to a state, either North or South Holland. So basically, there is a part of Netherlands which is Holland, which are two states, but there are also 10 other states which is not Holland. So that's the reason why there's a confusion. And to add to this confusion, the Netherlands tourism website is called holland.com. So they make it even more complicated. So
Yeah.
now they realize that they should not play with the stereotype. They should stick to Netherlands. And that's what they're not changing. So it's not the country's name which is changing. The Netherlands tourism will take forward Netherlands tourism as a concept, and they will try to like not talk about Holland in the future. That
So,
was on the news. Yeah.
so generally, the name was the Netherlands, but to be more easier for others, they say sometimes Holland, and this is why some people think that was Holland, but generally it wasn't. So it can be like the news that you change the name of the country is kind of fake news, because as you said before, it was also Netherlands as well.
Yes, exactly. It's only the Netherlands tourism which is not going to use Holland in their promotion anymore, and they will only call it Netherlands. So there's a new logo being designed. The website will move to also probably netherlands.com, and that's the idea.
So it will be more clear for everybody. So it's good
I
that they
hope
will be
so. I
focused
hope so.
on one name and not use the different one for others.
Exactly.
Netherlands. Do you have any favorite place there that you, of course, want to promote and say to others that is worth to visit?
Well, there are a lot of places. Like I said, Netherlands is a very historic city. It might be small, but what I suggest is, like I said, for the visitors to read a little bit more about the history. Otherwise, you will probably end up with visiting only the touristic places. And it happens a lot with a lot of countries in Europe, and especially Netherlands, where it is over tourism is a serious issue before COVID. If you're not going to read into the country, you're going to come to Amsterdam, you're going to do all the touristic things, which is not really interesting. And you're going to go back and say, yeah, it was not that great. Because, every country has a significance. So when you come to Netherlands, I would suggest you read about, for example, the Golden Age. And there are about 8 different cities which are associated with the Dutch Golden Age. So you should probably visit those, for example. So Amsterdam is just one of them. There is Haarlem, for example. There is a town called Delft, which is famous for the Delft blue pottery. The Hague. So these are all the cities which are actually linked to the Dutch Golden Age. So you can just take a train. The public transport in Netherlands is excellent. So just go to the train station and just choose a place, go there, do like a day tour. You will be amazed. You hardly will see tourists, and you just look around, walk around, and it's very charming. The good part about all these golden age cities is Amsterdam is not the only city known for canals. There are a lot of cities in Netherlands which are known for canals. So if you're not really keen about taking the touristic canals in Amsterdam, you can go to any of these cities and also enjoy a cruise. It's exactly the same experience without the tourist. Now, apart from the cities, there are these are all like very typical Dutch names, so it might be difficult for the followers to understand. There is a place called Giethoorn. Now, this is actually a very charming village, and it's known for all these individual villas surrounded by water. I'm not sure exactly how many, but there are about 100 different houses, and the only way to go around this village is by boat. So even if you have a cycle or a car, you can't go around. So it's a very charming place. Obviously, everyone knows about Kokenhof, which is the tulip gardens. Please to remember that the tulip gardens are only open for about 4 to 5 weeks in a year, in April. And also the other secret is don't just visit the Kokenhof, which is the tulip garden, but also there are a lot of places known for tulip fields. When you see the picture of colorful flowers, they are not the coconut gardens, but they are the tulip fields. So you need to kind of look into which there are a lot of places. You just kind of look around and do some research and then drive around these places and take lovely pictures with the tourists. That's also other thing you can do. Again, from Amsterdam, you can also do a lot of day tours. There is a place called Volendam, which used to be an old fishing village. It's a very charming old Dutch village, which used to be a fishing village, not anymore. You can visit that, for example. Like I said, you can, if it's a nice weather in summer, you can go to a lot of beaches. Amsterdam still don't have a beach, but you have to kind of go to the beach. It's again a lovely experience. Like you can go to Hague, which is where the parliament is, for example. There's a city called Utrecht, which is 20 minutes away from Amsterdam. Again, you can take a train. It's again beautiful canals, very lovely city. Rotterdam is, of course, the second largest city. It's very modern. It's a very interesting place because Rotterdam was completely bombarded by the German forces in World War II, and they decided to rebuild the city, but they decided to make it modern. So it's a very sharp contrast to Amsterdam. It has no old charm, but it's a very modern city. So these are some of the few things I can think of which you can do when you are in Netherlands.
So it can be like a schedule for 2 weeks, or we need more time to visit the places that you already mentioned?
Well, absolutely. I think 2 weeks is really a good time. For example, one other thing I can tell you is very close to the place where I live. I don't live in Amsterdam. Here, taking a boat in Amsterdam is lovely, right? But also, again, the canals are quite dirty and there are a lot of tourists. So you're not going to get fresh water where you can enjoy a boat ride. So there is a place called Loosdrecht, which is not that far away. I recommend that, you hire a car, then the whole country opens up. It's easier for you to drive around. There, if you go, it's a totally different experience. You rent a boat, you pay half the price, but you can use it for the whole day. But actually, you're going around freshwater. You're going through the lovely small Dutch villages. You will see all the lovely small mansions because a lot of wealthy Amsterdam people, they thought Amsterdam was busy 200 years ago, and they did spread out. They went to different parts of a rural area. You can explore all that by renting your own boat. You don't need a license. You just pay a certain deposit and the boat is yours. You can just for first 5 minutes will be challenging for you to figure out the boat,
Mm-hmm.
but then you're on your own. You know how to figure out and how to drive the boat. You go around, enjoy. Like I said, the place is called Loostrak. You can spend a whole day. They give you a route on where you can go around. You will see real charming Netherlands and not just Amsterdam.
How many people can go in one boat?
Well,
They're
the
small or big?
smallest boat,
Mhm.
well, they basically are reasonably good sized boat with the steering wheel, and you don't really need because the boat doesn't go very fast,
Mhm.
and it can be from 5 people. Of course, if you can afford just a family of 2 or 3, it's fine. But up to 5 people can go. You can also rent a boat which is like for 8 people, 10 people,
Mhm.
12 people. It works the same. Bigger boat, you don't need a license. You just need to be a bit confident for the first 5 minutes, and then you're on your own. You're off.
Okay, so you recommend that when somebody will come to Netherlands and want to travel inside the country to rent a car, not use
I
like a train because you have a lot of trains, as I know.
Yes. In fact, like I said, Netherlands is a very small country,
Mhm.
and it's extremely well connected by public transport. The train system is excellent, and
Mhm.
they're also quite fast. So, which means that you can literally go to the southern part of Netherlands like in a couple of hours. So, if you start the day early, start at 8 o'clock, you're already there at 10 o'clock in a city, explore, come back the same day. It's okay not to have a car. It's certainly possible to explore just by trains. However, there are certain places, right, where you really can't go by public transport or it's not convenient. Like I said, the place I call Heathrow, which is actually like a village, and they don't have a train station, which means you have to take a train, go to a nearby town, take a bus. It's going to take a lot of time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the cars are quite comfortable. If you are from Europe, you already know how the traffic works.
Mhm.
You drive on the right side, and you show your license, and you're good to go. And you can
Yeah.
use the car for a day. They're not that expensive. And if you're too worried about driving a car, it's absolutely fine to go by train. But just remember, it'll take extra time. It's highly reliable. Buses, trams, metros, trains, everything works fine, but it takes a lot more time.
I see. Some other places you would like to recommend for 2 weeks schedule?
Well, I think, listed quite a few places. In fact, Netherlands is also famous for palaces and castles.
Mhm.
Very close to Amsterdam. In fact, a lot of companies do tours, which is a place called Mauderslot. It's like a castle. It's a 13th century castle where you can visit. There are also a couple of palaces, which includes the palace at Loo, which is also not far away from Amsterdam. You can do like a day tour. And one of the most important things that you can do within Amsterdam city itself, before I forget, you have to visit museums. As you might know,
Mhm.
Netherlands is known for some of the famous painters, Rembrandt and Van Gogh and Frans Hals. So you have to visit museums. I know in some countries, when they think of museum, they think it's very boring. But when you read into the history of Netherlands, when you kind of explore the country for what it is, you have to visit museums. They are a fantastic place. Even if you want to learn about the sea exploration by Dutch, or you want to read about the World War II, you can actually do it. So there are a lot of museums as well across Netherlands. So just choose your pick and visit at least 3 museums when you're here. It's a must do.
Mhm. Madhu asked, "How could we share the record of this education?" So I will only answer him that Madhu, no problem. We will share with you the whole session from the beginning till the end. So no worry for that. And I see that Tim put the comment that only German call it Holland, not the Netherlands. I think not only German, because we in Poland we also said before like Holland, Holland. We say it in Polish Holandia because it's close to the same, almost the same name, Holland, Holandia. So we call it the same, like it. So this is why when I read about this, that the countries changed the name, I was surprised because I heard, of course, before the Netherlands, but it was like in a common language, as you say. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Holland and easier for other people. Are the places you already mentioned and recommend are good also for travel with family, with children, or you would recommend other places for them?
Well, absolutely. In fact, you can visit all these places with the family. But I do have to tell you that when you're traveling with the family, they might get a bit more bored if you just
Yeah.
visit these places. And that's a good thing about Netherlands because the Netherlands also caters to a lot of the local tourists. And as you might know, the Dutch love to travel. They love to explore their own country, as well as they love to travel abroad. So also there are a lot of places you have to consider when you are taking kids. For example, in Amsterdam, there is a science museum called Nemo, which I'll show when I walk around. It's a beautiful little museum for kids. So you really have to factor in kids-friendly places. And there are a lot of outdoor museums, for example, in Netherlands, which might be interesting when you are going with the kids. So when you are preparing an itinerary with involving your kids, please do include some of the places which will also be interesting for kids, and there are plenty. So there are theme parks, like I said, there are outdoor museums which cater to kids. So you should also make sure to visit that, otherwise your kids will be bored.
Yeah, for sure to visit that. But travel by boat inside the canals, I think for them will be kind of interesting because it's water, and children, I think they love water. Okay, so we already know which places we should visit and which places you recommend. So maybe you can say something when, which period of the year? Is it similar whether in Netherlands than in Poland, or it's a little warmer? How you feel?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know much about the weather in Poland, but I'm going to say probably it's very similar, right?
Mm.
Because we both are kind of in a similar region, Western Europe. So I think it's probably the same. I would suggest if anyone is visiting, if possible, visit in April because it's springtime. Like I said, it's a tulip season. That's one of the best time to visit. Visiting the tulip fields and Kokenhof is once in a lifetime experience. You know, it's like visiting Taj Mahal. You know, you have to do it once in a lifetime. And I highly recommend you come in April. And when the tulips will bloom, it's purely depends on your luck. In a span of 3 weeks' time, it can happen earlier or later. So generally, it happens around 20th of April. So if you can plan a date, plan around 20th to 30th of April. That's your probably should be your target. Now, if you can't visit in spring, then between April until early October are good times to visit. As you might know nowadays, it's not really as cold as before. In fact, even in winter, it's not that warm anymore. It's not any cold anymore. So you see tourists throughout the year. So my recommendation is April to October to experience the real Dutch weather. But again, it depends. If you're from a tropical country like Singapore or India, for example, then even winter might be interesting because sometimes it snows, and people also like to experience a bit of cold weather. But do keep in mind, winter is a bit more quieter, and it's quite gray. So if you are looking for Instagram photos, it's not the right time to visit. So yeah, I would generally recommend April, May, June would be the ideal time.
So still we have some time because it's almost beginning of September. So we have time for travel to Netherlands even in this year because for us it's possible. We have some. We cannot travel everywhere in the world currently,
Right.
but to Netherlands we can come even in September. Czyli jeżeli
Sure.
chcecie w tym roku zaplanować wyjazd nie do Holandii, ale do Królestwa Niderlandów, to jest jeszcze ten moment, że możecie pojechać we wrześniu, na początku października i jak słyszeliście, bardzo wiele ciekawych rzeczy jest do zobaczenia, więc polecam. I only translate that it's worth to go and still we have time because it's September to go there, so we can schedule for somebody travel to Netherlands.
Yeah, I think if you don't mind the cold, I think, like I said, 8 times through the year is great. December is very Christmassy. We also have our own version of Santa Claus, which is also very interesting for kids. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you would like to show us something during this meeting, as I
Exactly.
suppose.
So in fact, right now I'm standing opposite to the Amsterdam Central Station. It's one of the old buildings. So I'm going to start my virtual trip from here. So let me just
change
quickly
camera.
turn around the camera. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
fine.
Perfect. Excellent. So right now what you guys see is the Amsterdam Central Station. I decided to do it from here because this is where most of the tourists would arrive. Either you come by flight, you will take the train to come to the station. or if you obviously come from other European cities by train, you're going to start here. So this is one of the most interesting buildings in Amsterdam. This is not as old as some of the houses I will show you. This is a 19th century station building, which is now a central station. So this is where we're going to start our trip. And I'm just going to walk around what we call as the old town of Amsterdam. So you will be seeing a lot of interesting canals and boats. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, we can just talk. I can walk around.
Mm-hmm. I
And
remember that the train station, the central train station, is really good connect with the airport. It took me like, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes or something like that, and I could be in a city center and go visit some places.
so if you're coming, you will come to what we call as a Schiphol. That's the
Yes.
airport. And it's about 15 minutes you will reach at the station. So it's very
Yes.
convenient. And also, I'm showing you the trams. And this is also something which is very interesting in Amsterdam. They're very efficient. It's relatively cheap. So it goes through the whole city. So just buy a day card and take the trams, and it will take you everywhere. And of
Mm.
course, here you can already see the canals. So this is what Amsterdam is known for. So all you can see all around all the old merchant homes. These are all like 400 years old. And also, if you guys see, this is the boat generally used for the day cruise. In fact, I highly recommend that you do a day cruise. Uh, it's a very interesting thing to do in Amsterdam. It's touristic, but it's really worth it. It costs you about 10-15 euros, and it's about an hour's time. And there are plenty of operators who does it.
Hmm.
So actually, they will take you around the old city in a boat, and they'll explain the history of Amsterdam. They'll show you some unique places. It's highly recommended that you do it.
So it will take us almost whole day to go to by boat in this canal.
Okay, so they have a classic tour which takes only about 1 hour, maybe 1 to 1.5 hours. That's what most tourists do, but that's the standard one. You also have other options. For example, if you want to do like a 3 hours tour or an evening tour, it's also possible.
Okay.
So again, another view of the canals.
Yeah. I don't
I'm just
I don't see now the bicycles because we know that Netherlands are really popular for the bicycles, and
oh
why
yeah,
it's
I just crossed. I'm going to show you. For example, there's a small bicycle stand. You can see.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see.
Oh, it's
That's a
far.
small.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a small cycle stand. The main bicycle stand is on the other side. Unfortunately, I just came to the other side.
Uh-huh.
But there are a lot of cycles. I'll show you. In fact, let me also be a bit watchful because it's a bit busy today and a lot of tourists, a lot of bicycles. So I'm just gonna keep a close eye.
And why
All
the
right.
bicycles are
So
so
you can see
popular?
cycle. See, you can see cyclists here.
Yeah. Why they are so popular in Netherlands?
Well, so before I think I'll go to the topic, I'm just gonna show you. If you guys see the red track here, this
Mm-hmm.
is basically for bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
So here only cycles can go, and you guys can see all over the city. You see such stands where people just park their bicycle.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So to come back to your question, well, uh, so a few years ago, I think about 30, 40 years ago, Netherlands had a very unique problem of having a lot of car accidents. So there are a lot of car users and a lot of kids were were met by accident and they were dying. So they said we have to do something about it. So the government actively took steps to promote an alternative transport. And like I said, Netherlands cities are very small. The
Mm-hmm.
population of Amsterdam itself is only about 700,000. So they thought, why can't we build an efficient like bicycle track so that people can use it instead of cars? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a very conscious effort by the government to basically promote bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
And this, which obviously extended not just to cities, you can even do like bicycling across highways. So even if you have a cycle, you can go even up to 200 kilometers just by bicycle. So that way, Netherlands is very unique. So that's why you see a lot of bicycles. Obviously, you will see, if you see the cyclist always, right?
Yeah.
Even for tourists, it's quite a fun thing to do. You just rent a bicycle and you just, just explore the city.
So, as I understand, you have more bicycles than cars, or not?
Well, absolutely, yes.
Yes.
In fact, Amsterdam, for example, like I said, the population is about 700,000. However, the number of cycles is about 800,000. In fact, even the whole country, the population of Dutch is about 17 million, but they have more cycles than 17 million.
It's
So,
impossible. So
yeah,
people have more than one bicycle in their home per person, I suppose.
exactly. Well, I was speaking to you about the history of Amsterdam. Like I just came across the small sign. If you see, it's one of the old towers.
Yeah.
Here you can't see it properly, but if you see the small sign here, it
Mhm.
just says about how this Englishman called Hudson, who was an explorer, who was employed by the East Indies Company, and he left from here to Hudson, the Hudson River in the U.S. In the 16th century. So there's a small sign. So you can imagine how historic Amsterdam is.
Hmm. And we were talking about the weather in Netherlands, and where you say that it's worth to visit in April. And maybe are there any popular festivals in Netherlands in some part of the year that you recommend that when somebody will travel to Netherlands, they should travel in this time to join to the festival? Do you have some cultural things like that?
Yes, there are a couple of things which is very interesting. One of the biggest festival is the King's Day. So what is exactly the King's Day? As I explained to you a few centuries ago, Netherlands did not have a king. However, now they do. So
Mhm.
the birthday of King, who is Willem Alexander, his birthday is on 27th of April. So on that day, the whole country celebrates his birthday. So they all dress in orange and they basically just come out, drink beer, have fun. So that's something which I would recommend. Now, so Netherlands is not like, for example, it's not known for festivals like what we know in Asia, right? So if
Mhm.
you go to India or Thailand, they have this traditional religious festivals. It's not really known for that. So if you talk about festivals, I would say the King's Day would be one. And also, like I told you, they have something called as like have Santa Claus in other countries. Here they have Sinterklaas.
Mhm.
This is around November when he actually comes in a horse to the country. It's something which is a bit more fun for the kids. So he comes in a horse and he
On a
hands out
horse.
gifts. Sorry?
on a on a horse, so it's
He comes on a
unusual.
horse, exactly. So he comes from Spain on a steamboat. Then he goes to all the cities in a white horse with his little helpers, and then he distributes gifts. So he comes around November. So that is something which is really fun. Now, on that day, basically, like all the kids dress up and they go wait for him to come. It's a lot of fun for the kids. And the actual Sinterklaas itself is celebrated on 5th of December, but the festival is around November. So these are the two things I can think of.
They are strict dates for this festival with Santa Claus on a
Sometime
horse.
in November, if I'm not wrong. I
Okay.
don't think there's a specific date. I also want to show you this building. Again, this is a five-star hotel. It's called Hotel Ambarat.
Mm.
Again, a historic place. This used to be the headquarters of a handful of shipping companies, and they were so successful that they had their own head office here. It is now a hotel.
Mm. Is it big?
Well, it's quite a big property. Let me see if I can show you a bit more.
I see it's big.
It's quite massive.
Yeah.
Hope I answered your question. But apart from these two festivals per se, as you might know, Amsterdam is also known for organizing parties and festivals.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's too many to count. In fact, if you're someone who's in your I don't know 20s and 30s, you're looking to come hang out and have some fun. There are a lot of festivals, and there are hundreds. So you can just pick a theme, look for an event, go hang out with your friends, and just be part of the festival.
Which date is the first festival you mentioned with the King's Day?
The King's Day is on 27th of April.
So still April. So April is really the best period to travel to Netherlands, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So here you see, I'm just going to stop quickly to show you guys a few merchant houses. So these are all the merchant homes I told you. There are about 1,600 houses built. And as you guys can see, I'm just trying to look for the date. I see this building here is 1652. So these are all the old merchant homes. So there are about 1,600 such houses all over Amsterdam city. All right, yeah.
Very nice. What about some culture things? I mean, not the festival, but general. When you moved to Netherlands, were you surprised with some culture things? What people from Dutch people have? Or not?
Well, for me personally, I think the presence of the beer culture was quite a bit of a surprise. As you might know, even Singapore or India, the the use of alcohol is a bit restricted, right?
Uh-huh.
So here, I think it's crazy to think that beer can be cheaper than water. So that is something which for me is quite a bit of surprise, especially some of the known brands like Heineken. They are all like from here, so that also makes it very interesting. Now, I'm just going to quickly stop to show you guys one more buildings. So these are all some of the buildings of some of the very wealthy merchants. Now, the house that you see right here, this one, is actually owned by one of the very famous merchants 400 years ago. So, and right opposite, you guys see that's where the water is. So the merchant will have their houses here, and they bring all the wealth from the water to their homes, and sometimes they also use it as a storage place.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about the Netherlands cuisine? Are there any typical meals that we should try when we travel there? Maybe you some
All right.
recommend, except the beer?
Well, for sure. Well, I think let me tell you right away that the Netherlands cuisine is not as like grand, as interesting as, for example, if you are somebody from Asia, or even some other countries where you have a very rich food culture. The country is not really known for food. Now, having said that, doesn't mean that you can't really enjoy eating out here. If you're coming as a tourist, there are a few dishes which you can certainly try. The first thing comes to my mind is, of course, the fries. Most people would call it like French fries, but here you don't call it French fries. You just call it in local language, friet or patat. And the unique thing about having fries in Netherlands is you always have it with mayonnaise. You never ask for ketchup. You can if you want, but generally it's eaten with mayonnaise. So that's something which everybody loves. Even I love it. It's also not like French fries. They're not very thin, but they are rather thick. And it's always served with mayonnaise. So that is something which I would highly recommend. And apart from fries, there is also a dish called bitter bollen, which is literally called like bitter balls. They're not bitter, but I think they're also quite delicious. It basically have like what you call like a meat filling, and it's crispy on the outside and a bit gooey on the inside. And generally it goes really well with beer. And other than these two, it's just the usual. You have what we call as croquette, which is basically like the French croquette. It's exactly very similar. There's meatballs. Yeah, generally these are things we can try. You also see a lot of pancake flakes in Amsterdam, but to be really honest, well, it's not really that traditional. It's mainly for tourists who basically want to enjoy pancake, but I wouldn't say it's really essential. So again, another view of beautiful canal. You can also see the old bridge here. And if you go to the left side, that's where you see the modern part of Amsterdam. And the building that you see, like straight up, that's the Science Museum I told you about.
There is no traffic jam.
Well, it's a very small. Well, it's a very small city, so with a very small population. So don't expect when you come to Amsterdam, a city like London or probably even Berlin, it's really a very small town with a very small population. So you don't really see much of traffic.
Nice. According to Cuisine, Tim wrote that he loved the idea of French fries with mustard, and he wrote that he only saw it in Amsterdam.
Okay,
So
sorry, come again. I didn't get you.
I say that Tim wrote that the comment that he loved the idea of French fries with mustard.
Oh,
Not
really? Okay.
yeah, that he
Mustard,
saw it,
yeah.
yeah, but he saw it only in Amsterdam, never ever. So
Well, traditionally you eat with
I
mayonnaise.
yeah.
If you ask, they'll also give you ketchup, but they also like to eat it with peanut sauce. So that's the
Yeah.
classic combination. Mustard, you generally eat it with the croquette, you know.
Okay.
And okay, so I just stopped over for to show you guys one more building. This is again built in 1642. The moment you see it, you'll see actually something very strange, which are the windows, right? You see these large windows purely because this used to be a warehouse. So this building is almost 400 years old. And if you look very closely all the way up in the top, you see a logo which says it is a West Indies Company. So I told you about the East Indies Company, but this is also the West Indies Company, which actually, went to Americas and explored the western part of the world. So this used to be the headquarters or the warehouse of the West Indies Company. Again, almost 400 years old building, still going strong.
It's true. And you say before that population generally is not so big,
No.
but the people are there. I can say like multicultural. There are a lot of people outside the Netherlands. As you are come
Yes.
from India, there are a lot.
Well, so Netherlands certainly have a large population from different parts of the world. Just to give you an example, Amsterdam is home to about 180 plus nationalities. So literally, nationality from every country is there, and the same goes for Netherlands. Because as you might know, even now, Netherlands is one of the developed economy, and it's a very influential country worldwide, which means a lot of things is going on here. If I'm not wrong, it is the 20th largest country in terms of GDP, which means it attracts a lot of talent. So if you see, there are a lot of people from Suriname, for example, which used to be a colony. There are a lot of people from Indonesia. Okay, I'm going to stop over to show you guys one more building, which is built in 1614. So again, this is 406 years old building. Used to be again a merchant home, right?
Impossible.
And apart from Suriname, you also have a lot of people from Indonesia because it used to be a Dutch colony, and also a lot of population these days from other countries of Europe, Poland, Germany, UK, from everywhere people are there. And recently there's also a huge influx of people from India as well because of IT. So you can say absolutely, I think it's definitely a multicultural city.
But only Amsterdam, but for general the Netherlands.
The Netherlands, in fact, a lot of expats when they come to Netherlands, they think of only Amsterdam, and they soon realize, oh, maybe Netherlands is more than Amsterdam. So they quickly like move out of Amsterdam, and they go and stay in nearby places which are much more clean and cheap and spacious and no tourists. So they have much better time. So people, in fact, even find small villages and towns, and they start living there. So Amsterdam is getting more and more less relevant for expats.
What about cheese? Because I remember when I were in Amsterdam, I saw a lot of factory of cheese.
Right. In fact, one of the things that comes to your mind when you talk about Netherlands is the cheese. The country has been known for making cheese like Edam and what they call Gouda. I think it's called Gouda or Gouda in English. So purely again because like I said, Netherlands reclaimed a lot of land from sea, and these lands are very fertile. So they grow a lot of grass, and which again was fed to these cows, which actually helps them produce some of the tastiest cheeses. And in fact, cheese is one of the widely exported item from Netherlands throughout the world, and it's quite delicious. It's not as varied as French cheese, but Dutch cheese has its own charm. I eat cheese every day, generally for breakfast or sometimes even lunch, and yeah, that's part of our life. You have to eat cheese every day.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I do have to tell you that when you are coming as a tourist, you see tea shops everywhere. Just remember that a lot of these places are very touristic, and they are not necessarily like an authentic cheese experience. Unfortunately, they're more getting to tourists. So if you want a proper cheese experience, find out where the markets are, the weekly markets are. Every town, city in Netherlands, they have a local market, Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays or Saturdays. Go to these markets and look for a local cheese vendor, and these guys sell the proper cheese. If you're in Amsterdam city walking around, if you see a cheese shop, they're more for tourists. So
Yeah.
I would recommend you stay away from such places.
Yeah, it's true what you said, especially that they are located in the city center. So when you come by train to the city center and go for a walk inside close to the canals and between some buildings in a city, so you will see a lot of cheese shops. So it should be for tourists, as a coffee shop, I suppose.
Well, I think before walk, I just want to show you guys also is one other building. Again, as you guys can see, this used to be a warehouse.
Okay.
You can find it because of the large windows here, and now it's all like apartments and stuff, right? And the other interesting thing of living in Amsterdam, I want to show you is if you look at these houses, you can see how it is. It's so close to the water, and you can see someone even has like a small boat, and they can just step on the boat and they can just start the day. So it's just a very
Great.
common sight because there's water everywhere. You see like small boats of all sizes being parked across the city.
Nice idea. Not stay in a traffic jam in a car, because it's not no traffic jam, but take the boat, your own boat, or take a bike and go around. I think I get a feeling that the life is really really nice there, and like more, how to say, vocal, that you are not hurried. So I get a feeling when you show these places and talk about living in Netherlands as well.
No, absolutely. In fact, even for me, someone coming from Asia, I see a huge difference in terms of, for example, the work culture. People really believe in working 9 to 5, for example, and the weekends you can't really disturb them. So in fact, even the place where I live, it's a very small town, and a lot of supermarkets close at 6 o'clock. Now it's getting better, but generally, yeah, that's generally the attitude. I think they really believe in being efficient from 9 to 5,
Mhm.
and after 5, things has to end. You have to really have a good balance of personal and work life. That's
Yeah,
very important.
yeah, it is. I get this feeling as well.
Again, one other view of, as you can see, a lot of historic buildings and towers. So this is the best part about Amsterdam. In fact, the reason why I also wanted to walk around this area is, although Amsterdam is touristic, as you might see, I managed to find a place which is very less touristic. Of course, because of COVID, it's not as busy as before, but still Amsterdam today is very touristic. But still, I managed to find this place, the route, where you hardly see people. That's the best part about exploring Amsterdam. Don't really look at attractions, make a list of things to visit. You will be very exhausted. Rather just, you know, have Google Maps, just walk around the canals. It's very,
Mm.
very easy to do. And just you will come across a lot of surprises. You'll probably come across some cafe, some boutique shops, just bring some sandwich, sit near a canal, enjoy your lunch, and just,
Mhm.
repeat every day,
So it's good part of the Europe to go for relax. Go
Yeah.
by walk, not hurry, but a little bit lazy, and see what will be around you between your tour.
Exactly. So, like I said, Amsterdam is also a very hip and modern city, and unfortunately, people have this very wrong perception. They only think of the red light district or a coffee shop. You know, it is there, but again, I wouldn't say you should center your visit around these things. It doesn't matter
Mm,
if you're from Europe or from Asia or from America. You have to really, like I said, look at Amsterdam and see what is it for, and explore accordingly. If you are going to be too much like planning a trip around coffee shops or red light
yeah,
district, it's not going to be fun. I think you're missing out all the better parts of the city.
true.
So I'm just going to go in one of the bridges. It's a beautiful view. Like you see, this is like one of the 1,000 bridges. So if you see on both sides, you have a lovely view of all the merchant homes. Also, the weather is much better.
It is.
So this is
It's
what you will
sunny.
experience.
It is. It's
So,
sunny.
so you see all these houses are like old merchant homes near to the water.
Hmm.
So this is how the merchants used to live 400 years ago. So all the people who built the warehouses in Fort Kochi, they all left from here. It's crazy to think, the connection.
Yeah.
Well, I am in fact approaching one of the coffee shops, which I wanted to show you, but probably only from outside.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any questions specific to the coffee
No.
shops before we
uh,
go there?
I don't have, but maybe our audience, if they will add any comments about or question about coffee shop, I will say you. But I don't see. I think all of the people that they watch our live streamings now they are feel relaxed. Really, I feel it because I don't know if you see it, but it's over 1 hour our talking. But I feel
Exactly.
so relaxed when you are showing this place that it's very very calm. I am a little surprised because I was before in Amsterdam, but it was like during the almost summertime, so it was a little busy, and I was only in the city center, so I think it's a different kind. But in my imagination was that it will be busy city, like almost whole cities that they are capitals. So
So also you see very proud Amsterdammers, they hang the flags. You see, this is the flag of Amsterdam,
mhm.
the triple X. So you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm just very close to a coffee shop. I don't think we can go inside, but this is one of the things people always think about when they talk about Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Uh, so the idea is very simple. I think somewhere in the end of I think uh, uh, the late 90s, I think the government decided that they are going to legalize soft drugs because they think, okay, you guys are adults, you know what to do. We are not going to like involve in all this. So they said we are going to legalize soft drugs.
Really?
So and exactly. So in fact, many people think of only Amsterdam when they think of marijuana or other soft drugs. It's legal across the Netherlands. So even if you are going, like I said, to smaller places of Netherlands, everywhere, if you talk about coffee shops, that's what they call here. If you
Mm-hmm.
think of coffee shop, you think of, I don't know, drinking coffee, etc. But here, Netherlands coffee shop means that's where you get your soft drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think it's not just about going to a coffee shop and just smoking marijuana. A coffee shop is also a place for you to go and relax. So this specific coffee shop, for example, is under renovation, so I don't know if I can show you, but if you see, like, they have just chairs and they have like the soft drinks. You can have juice, for example. You can have a coffee, and also you can have, like, if you want to smoke, you can just buy a marijuana and you can smoke inside.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, since it's under renovation, I won't be able to show you, but this is
Mm-hmm.
kind of is one of the places. So this is typically how a coffee shop kind of looks. It's just like any other cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you would like to go for a coffee, we cannot
Mhm.
say we're going for a coffee.
No,
How
you
you
say you go to a cafe. You go to
cafe?
a cafe, or you go to like a bar where there's also beer. There also you can get your coffee. But coffee shop, when you say, it means you're going for marijuana.
Smoke. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the way it works is you can buy up to 5 grams of marijuana if you want to take it with you. I generally recommend that you smoke in the coffee shop. Generally, it's I would say less convenient for the locals, because every time I come to Amsterdam, a lot of tourists don't realize that there are locals who live here.
Yeah.
They just buy a joint and they just park everywhere. They just sit and start smoking. So I came across like 5 different people doing that. It's a bit of a shame, because then you're not really respecting the locals. You're
Mm-hmm.
just smoking marijuana at 9 o'clock in the morning. Somebody's going to work, and somebody have kids. It's not really fun. So
Yeah,
I
it's
highly recommend either you take it to your hotel room if you have a terrace and ask for the permission and do it there, or go to the coffee shop inside and smoke and go. A lot of people, I think, for them, they want to take a picture of smoking marijuana in Amsterdam, so they do it outdoors. That unfortunately, I personally wouldn't recommend. It's not really fun for the locals.
yeah, it's true. We need to give the respect for the locals because still they are people who live there.
Yeah. So otherwise, it's totally fine. I think coffee shop is no big deal here. And like you see, just a residential area, you see the kids walking around. There's a coffee shop here, and beautiful, Amsterdam canal view, boats, bicycles, bridges, and a lot of lovely homes. So all you do is just go to a coffee shop, like you go to a cafe, and buy what you want. You pay by gram, you smoke it there, and then you leave. That's basically
Mhm.
how it works. And to be honest, coffee shops are, although known in Amsterdam, it's mostly used by tourists. The
Mm.
local Dutch people themselves are not really that much into coffee shops. So especially in Amsterdam, if you see, it's more of a touristic thing to do. So if you really wanted to kind of experience what marijuana is, I don't mind. You can visit, but don't expect, for example, to mingle with the locals in a coffee shop, because and 99% of the locals don't go to coffee shops in Amsterdam. So it'll
It's
all be your fellow tourists.
it's not real experience of Netherlands, but somebody can think like that they will go there because they think that it's real experience of Netherlands, but honestly, it's not.
No, it's not. Like I said, I think a lot of people are intrigued. I can understand. Like, for example, if you're somebody coming from Asia, where you can't even think about soft drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you come here, you are excited because they have all types of drugs. You can just buy it like you buy candy, so they get excited, which is fine. So you just do it maybe once or twice. If you like it, there's nothing wrong. But I wouldn't recommend you just visit Amsterdam or Netherlands just for that. Then you're really kind of missing out the entire other elements of the country.
Yeah. Okay, Gopi. As I said,
Right?
we are over 1 hour. Do you want to show us something more during this trip?
Well, I think yeah, we're almost coming to an end of
The
this
tour?
trip. I'm just going to stop at a beautiful place where there's a nice view
Oh.
of canals. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, yeah, I kind of I think explained everything.
Yeah, you explained a lot, and even it would be more question after our show, I will definitely send it to you, so you will have a choice to answer on it.
Fantastic. So again, this is also one of the old uh, buildings you can see. This is even before the 17th century. The specific tower, which is
Mm-hmm.
now a restaurant. Like I see, I think I've been walking for 45 minutes, and there are so many historic houses, and
Yeah,
it
it's
just never
true.
ends. So this is what I want people to do. Just pick a route. Don't worry. Everybody speaks English. Just you have Google Maps. Just walk across all the canals, stop over, take pictures, and find a cafe, sit and relax, enjoy the view.
Mhm.
Right. So we come to the point where I will be stopping my tour.
Mm-hmm.
So again, a beautiful view of Amsterdam, and there are some tourists enjoying their fries.
Yeah.
And
You
as you
will
can see,
go
there's
for
a
you will go for the fries with mayonnaise.
so here, as you can see, there's a beautiful cafe. Just find a nice view. Yeah, this is the view I was talking about. So it's very
Yeah.
typical Amsterdam: cycles, bridges, water, canals, historic buildings everywhere. So yeah,
Yeah.
want me to turn around?
Yeah, please.
All right. Then I can just say goodbye to everyone. Oh, my
Yeah.
apologies.
No worry.
All right, here we go.
Hello, one more time.
All right, yeah, I'll do it this way so that you guys still have the view.
Guppy, thank you so much for this trip. I feel that we visit a lot of places in Amsterdam and historical places, and we also learn about some historical facts, especially the people that they are don't interesting in historic things at all. So you gave us a lot of knowledge about the Netherlands and Amsterdam and everything. So thank you very much for joining to our virtual trips. I really feel like I am calm and like feel relaxed during this trip. And I was talking with you before that I was thinking to go to Holland for a longer trip to visit, Netherlands, to visit some places. So now I feel that I should plan it for sure.
No, I'm glad. I hope I inspired a few people. And like I said, thank you so much for having here. I always been to your show as a viewer, so glad to be on the other side of the screen. So any questions, anything you want to know about Netherlands, please write to me. I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah. Także kochani, bardzo Wam dziękujemy za udział w kolejnych wirtualnych podróżach. Mamy nadzieję, że ta wycieczka Wam się podobała, że się też zrelaksowaliście i czujecie taki spokój i może już macie pomysł, żeby jednak pojechać do Królestwa Niderlandów i odwiedzić te miejsca, o których wspominał Gupi. Dziękujemy Wam serdecznie za udział. Zapraszamy oczywiście na kolejne spotkania z cyklu wirtualnych podróży. Wkrótce opublikujemy termin kolejnego spotkania i miejsce. Do zobaczenia. Miłego dnia Wam życzymy.